Palumbo standing here with Chris, the technician Aceto. We are here in New York, for the New York Pro Final wrap-up here tonight. Big Ramy Elspaye, two-time champion, Chris. Not as spectacular as last year, but he dominated this lineup. The guy is so enormous. I mean, can anyone beat this guy other than the top Olympia tier?
He's top Olympians may be able to, but he's going to give them a lot of trouble. You know, it's hard to say that he's not improved because he's absolutely bigger and rounder than last year, and his waist, his midsection is
so small.
It's the smallest on stage in the men's for sure. Mm-hmm. When he comes out and he sits on his abs and he stands, I mean, he's remarkable. The thickness is unbelievable. All he has to do is tighten up from here.
How many big guys like that can you see hit a hands on hip, most muscular,
it's unbelievable.
And his waist looks tiny? He looks like a musclehead statue.
You know, no disrespect to Juan Morel, but when they were comparing him on, like, say, the front lat spread and the side, just almost all the shots, Juan's big, wide guy. You know, he's got a lot of width. And
he might be one of the widest guys in the sport.
Well, that's why he always places high, because of the width and the small waist. But next to Ramy, still, the crazy width that Ramy has, with the roundness everywhere, pops everywhere, to me, it's remarkable. He reminds me of a lot of standing in the lineup when he's waiting to be called out of Jay Cutler back when Jay was like crazy round in his heyday. You know, the thighs are crazy round, the shoulders, the pecs are bigger than...
Can Ramy be beat at the Olympia level if he's in shape?
I think he's, for sure, after seeing him tonight, I think that if he's in better condition, he's going to be extremely hard to beat, and I'm a huge Phil Heath fan.
I think that the only person out there who can beat him for freakiness would be Kai Green. I don't even think Phil can match up to him. I think that Kai is the only one who really matches up to him because they both have that impressive, crazy mass. We've always talked about the mass monster era from the 90s into the early 2000s. Well, this might re-usher it back in.
I think that standing relaxed in the lineup and on the quarter turns, Ramy is far more superior because he's got massive thickness here, which Kai doesn't have. He's got crazy sweep that comes directly off the thigh. And he can separate the thighs really good. They separate really good.
He has an amazing amount of muscle control, especially for a guy who can't actually feel his muscles when he trains.
He's got a back double.
Yeah,
he's got a back double that's extremely thick. The back lat spread looks like a turtle shell. He looks like he disappears. And you know, the level of maturity in terms of stage presence that he has for somebody with 2 shows under his belt, or whatever it is, 5. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. He shows a high level of professionalism on stage.
Let's talk about Juan Diesel Morel, who second place here. I think he was upset with second. I think he felt he had it because probably Ramy wasn't in his best shape ever. But, you know, if you look at it from the audience where we were sitting, Ramy is so much bigger than Juan. And Juan, like you mentioned, is a very big guy that, I mean, what does Juan need to do to beat a Ramy guy? Can he ever beat a Ramy? To me, in order for Juan to beat a Ramy, he's got to get legs. He's got to get a set of legs that are going to be as impressive as his upper body, because Ramy makes Juan's legs look small. And, you know, that's not good when you're a tall bodybuilder.
I don't see many people. Ramy's going to give everyone trouble this year at the Olympia. Everyone. And that everyone means from Roden up. 4th place finisher, 3rd place, 2nd, and 1st. So, again, no disrespect to De La Rosa, no disrespect to Juan Morel or these guys here tonight. But, you know, this guy's freaky. He's really impressive. And, you know, I watched him tonight, and... he's just on every angle. He's round.
Morel has arguably the best conditioning in the class, I would say, tonight, and I think that he was rewarded for that, and that's where the 2nd place comes from. Terrific upper body, great back, good V taper. We mentioned the legs before. It almost seems like his glutes are so big that they're almost bigger than his quads. And like I said, if he can bring up his quads, I think he's a top 6 Olympian down the road if he can bring them up. Do you think that that could be accomplished? You know how some guys have a weak body part and it just never improves their whole career?
Yeah.
Can Juan improve it?
I mean, that's for Juan to answer. But the knock against him is, and it's troublesome for me, is I think they're very weak for the crazy width that he has and the fullness in the pecs. And he's got fullness in the delts, and he's got a small waist, and then the legs just look slender. So I think it's glaring in terms of throwing off his balance. So when he gets up against people with the wheels,
he's in trouble.
He's in trouble. Where even if he just puts an inch on him.
Talking about wheels, John De La Rosa, who if Rami wasn't here, I can make a case for John winning the show because he's more complete than Juan. Even though Juan might have the conditioning a little bit on him and a little bit bigger structure than him, I feel like De La Rosa was probably more complete. But I think his short stature, and we've talked about this in the past, hurts him a little bit because he's not as impressive in the lineup.
It does, and I saw that tonight, and I'll tell you where I saw it tonight. I didn't see it in prejudging because I thought his condition was good enough to push him into second. But sitting back 25 rows tonight, you can see where height does have some type of role. So I think what John De La Rosa needs to do to be able to negate the problem of, quote, height is he has to achieve the level of condition of like a Dexter Jackson.
Right.
Because Dexter Jackson has the height issue, except
he overcomes it with the conditioning.
He overcomes it with the condition. He, as you would say, he bamboozles you with the condition.
Yeah.
So, while John's got good condition and sometimes great condition, there's good condition, there's great condition, and then there's condition of, that's otherworldly, and that's what he's going to have to do to be able to move ahead solidly of. Juan Morel, or I'm not even going to say Rami because he's just wacky looking.
Yeah, let's talk about Lionel Baiki, who probably might have been the only man in this lineup who could have maybe knocked Rami off because he's got the same type of billowy muscle that Rami's got. However, it looks like he's probably been hanging out at the buffet, the sushi buffet with me for the last 3 weeks, ever since we saw him in Brazil. And, he didn't get better, he got worse. And I think fourth place, he was lucky to get fourth place. That just goes to show you how good his shape and structure is.
Yeah, he's everybody knows he's the king of structure. And he's got a lot of good muscle shots, and he's put together all the right ways, and he's put it together maybe twice in 7 years. Meaning he was in really good shape in Brazil, and when he first came out in Phoenix, like when he was smaller, he was in great shape, and even he was in tremendous condition when he won the Arnold Amateur.
Yeah, he did.
So, a lot of it is just simply the scale. Weight. We'll get to the 212s, but we know that the 212 guys get in condition. One of the reasons is the weight. I mean, if you gave a scale to some of these guys and said you have to make a new low weight for you in the show,
yeah.
and set that scale at 5 pounds less, it'd probably be in better bodybuilding.
Let me talk about Max Charles here. Max Charles might have one of the best upper bodies in pro bodybuilding. He kind of reminds me of a Joel Stubbs. Remember how dominant Joel Stubbs was, and then he had the weak legs? Max doesn't have... Yeah, he is better. He's got a tiny waist, and Max Charles doesn't have two torn quads like Stubbs had, so he has the potential for the legs to improve, and they looked better tonight, actually.
Yeah, they did.
And I think that, if he could bring up those legs, he could conceivably win a couple pro shows in his career because he's got that wow factor.
He's definitely has a wow factor. You know what? He looked like... he struggled to crack the top 5 in prejudging. Again, he didn't look like he was, quote, full enough. By the night show he had filled out.
He looked much better.
He probably went to one of these, little
pancake houses.
Yeah, and went nuts. And it went all to his muscle. Not
all of it.
Yeah, all of it, because he was really gnarly tonight. Yeah. Really gnarly, and he gets paper thin skin, which a lot of people can't get. Yeah. I agree with you. I think he can win. He can definitely win
like
some
a Tampa show or something like that. Yeah.
A Tampa or any of these.
Is he better than like an Evan Santapani, you think?
I think his frame is, I'd say no, only because I think that he's a smaller guy. He's got a small frame, and he's got small bone structure. Whereas Evan's got big frame and big bone structure.
Let's talk about the men's 212 division. Very close fought battle between Guy Cisternino, Aaron Clark, mano a mano. I mean, you could flip a coin. I mean, you and I kind of were edging towards Guy. You worked with him. I felt the Guy had a little momentum coming off the Dallas win. I felt that Aaron Clark was not quite as tight as he used to be. Talk to me about what do you think clinched it for Clark? The additional size maybe he had over Cisternino?
I think the in prejudging I couldn't make the argument that for Guy to lose. At the night show, maybe I had a different vantage point. Aaron has when he opens up in the front double bicep, he opens up. The lats flare out a little bit more. He has deeper leg separation in the front lat spread and front double. and those are important factors to have. You know what I mean? They're the first two poses, front double, front lat spread. So I think that might have played a role tonight.
Clark's also a bodybuilder. A heavyweight bodybuilder. He turns pro, whereas Guy's a middleweight. So you can kind of see that Clark, just is a natural big structure.
Bigger. Yeah, he's natural. He's got a bigger structure. It's two great bodybuilders battling it out.
Guy took the loss, I guess, in stride. I guess you can't be too sad coming in second place in a lineup like this. He won last week in Dallas, and what does Guy do from here? Does he take some time off and work for the Olympia, or is he going to keep going and hit a few more shows?
He hasn't asked me, and I usually don't tell people what you should do or whatever. But I mean, why not do Toronto? I mean, you could win it.
Yeah, it's in 3 weeks.
A win is a win. And then shut it down. Everyone likes to say,
Guy loves to
shut it down.
No, he likes the intensity.
This will amp him up. If I text him right now and say, bro, you gotta. I just Instagrammed it out. You got a Toronto win. He'd be in the gym tomorrow doing
cardio. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Hitting legs.
Yeah, so he loves to train. He loves to be a bodybuilder. He's a full-time bodybuilder, and. It's one of these things that what if you skip the show and then Toronto's weak and you say, I could have won that,
You're right. Let's talk about Juliana Malacarne, 3-time Ms. Women's Physique New York Pro champion. No one, I don't believe, in the history of the New York Pro has won 3 times, nonetheless 3 years in a row. She's just very dominant in that women's physique division. She's downsized, like we saw last week in Dallas, by 7 pounds. Can she win the Olympia in September?
I think she can. I liked it better this week than in Dallas. I thought she was tighter in the hamstrings. I think she's trying to... I don't know, but it looks like she's trying to fine-tune the smaller look because she's got the physique where if you said, hey, blow it up 10 pounds, she
barely trains, she told me.
I know, so she could add the muscle. I personally love it with the crazy cap delts and triceps and the super tight midsection. Yeah. She's one of the few women I've seen in years who you can you can really appreciate a lot of muscle on her and say, that's not too much, even though it's a lot.
She was great. Shauna Pringle finishes in the second place position. Beautiful girl. If she brings it down, maybe 5 pounds of conditioning, I think that she's going to win some pro shows. A pretty face and a lot of muscle really works well in this division.
Yeah, no doubt about it. She's got a strong future, going forward too, and she just ran up against Malacarne, which is just, it's like running up against a Rami, That's
true. Let's talk about Jason Poston. Wins a very close-fought battle against Sadiq Hadzovic in the men's physique division.
I'm becoming a fan of men's physique.
I know, me too. 3 wins in the last 5 weeks. He was second to Mark Anthony in Pittsburgh during that same time period. He had insulin issues this morning because his blood sugars were high. He's a type 1 diabetic. Yeah. He overcame them. He wins here. I know Sadiq is probably not happy. Was it the right choice?
You could make it go either way. My personal preference was Sadiq. I love first of all, I thought Poston was better last week. I thought he was flat.
He absolutely was.
Flat through here, which hurt his, just the washboard abs that he has. He's definitely
like 4 million units of insulin. That's why today he told me because he couldn't get his blood sugars down.
Did he fill out, or is that flattened him out?
No, I think what happened. Yeah, when you get dehydrated as a diabetic, it's hard to fill up with carbs.
To rehydrate,
and then you get bloated, obviously.
So I thought he was better last week. I thought he was a shoe-in last week. He ran up against all-time best Sadiq. Sadiq standing relaxed is just outrageously...
It's got to be frustrating for Sadiq, too.
How do you describe Sadiq's physique? That rhymes, by the way. But, just from the front, it's just...
He looks like a miniature bodybuilder.
Yes. And from behind, he's got thickness to the lower lats, which a lot of men don't have, men's physique, and he's got width.
The kid trains for 3 hours a day in the gym. I see him at Bev's. I mean, it's amazing. Like you said, you could have flipped the coin here today, and I think that...
I flipped it, though, personally for the side.
They'll be battling it out at the Olympia again, trust me. Sadiq will make it there. Let's talk about bikini. Upset in bikini. We had Ms. Bikini Olympiad Ashley Kaltwasser, who finishes in second place, Chris, instead of first. I didn't think she should have been in the top 3. I thought she was way out of shape. Yashira Robles wins here. She's been on a roll. She's hit a lot of seconds. She won in Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, and she comes in here in New York in her hometown and wins. Is she got to be the favorite, maybe going into the Miss Olympia coming in September?
She's going to be one of the very strong favorites. One of the things, about all these shows, the judges mixed this group up so hard. I mean, this was the hardest prejudging.
I couldn't really tell what they were thinking.
Well,
Sometimes.
regardless of what they were thinking, they gave everyone, they allowed Rami to be right in the middle, for example, and this is all classes, and then they had Rami on the end, and
moved them around,
they moved people around and worked.
Jim Mannion was the head judge, and no one has more experience than he does.
True.
It was well judged. The whole entire show. Probably the most disappointing class for me was figure. Heather Dees was supposed to be the favorite going into this. She was not in good condition. Kamala Rodriguez, who had won in Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, came in here not at her best either. She does eke out the win over Jen Strobo, who finishes in second. What do you think? Sometimes you get a division, it's stacked with competitors that should do well, and then people don't come in shape. It amazes me how this can happen. Look, the men weren't in the best condition either. So you can't really predict show to show who's going to show up, who's not going to show up.
That goes back to like a guy Cesternino doing Toronto or someone else doing Toronto in the Open. You don't know if Bikey's going to show up hard or if he's going to show up soft. Right. So it's a chance for somebody with Max Charles could have moved. Max Charles can move ahead in the future if Bikey comes in like this. So, it's important to. I still tell people all the time. You're young, do all the shows. I mean, it's hard, of course,
right.
But
I'd like to see Kamala a little tighter come next show. I think she'll probably just do another one before the Olympia, just as a tune-up. She's obviously switched from fitness into figure. It's a good fit for her. The judges seem to like her in this division. She's got a good structure. She's got a good stage presence, and I think she will have a good future in this division. I just want to say thanks to Steve Weinberger for putting on a great event here tonight. The New York Pro is one of the most anticipated events of the year. The New York audience is just insane. It was sold out here, but not even that. When people don't like the decision in New York, they scream out. They let you know it. Yeah. Other places they don't do that.
No, and everyone has their little fan base. I mean, Juan Diesel has his, Guy has his, De La Rosa has his. They're all local people. Yeah.
Marco Rivera's crew and Yoshiro Robas, his wife, was there.
And that's why it's always sold out. Someone asked me about a ticket, and I said, don't even try. It's sold out.
Now, I did see Leon Brown, and should I tell this story real quick?
Sure.
I think Leon was having a few drinks. And he's friends with Arnold. And Arnold, he was bragging to us how he had Arnold's cell phone number.
Yeah.
So we stole his phone, and we stole Arnold's cell phone number. So Arnold, we got your cell phone. Just want to let you know, Leon. Sorry about it. Leon is going to compete at the Masters Pro World Championships, Gary Udich show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in 15 weeks. He said in 10 weeks he's contacting me. He wants to do a video, and he wants my help dieting him down. He's 67 years old.
Because these guys got it in their bloodstream. It's in their DNA.
Leon Brown. All right, well, Chris, it was great hanging out with you. We're going to put you on the bus home after this is over, and you can take the 800-hour trip back to Vegas.
I'm going to see if I can transfer my Greyhound miles. I'm going to speak to George and see if he can get him to
Delta miles.
Yeah, get into Delta miles. So.
Maybe he'll get you on a first-class ticket. For now, though, I'm Dave Palumbo with Chris the Technician Aceto here at Tribeca Performing Arts Center for RxMuscle.com.